A level 2 severe drought has moved into North Georgia. We are now going on more than 6 weeks without any decent rainfall here in Atlanta. And also with a La Niña in effect, we expect more worsening drought in the coming weeks. Joining me now to talk about the impact on our state's water supply, especially here in Metro Atlanta, is Danny Johnson, the Managing Director of Natural Resources for the Atlanta Regional Commission. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Pleasure to be with you.
So, Danny, let me start off with this. We have drought that's moved back in. Is this something with dry weather in the forecast for the next couple of weeks? Is this something that we need to start being pretty concerned about for our water supply here in Metro Atlanta?
Well, it's definitely something we need to be tracking. One month, maybe month and a half of dry conditions is pretty regular for this type of year. In fact, if you remember last October, we had 0 inches of rain. And it ended up raining behind it, and filled our reservoirs and lakes. What we want to do is we want to make sure we're tracking our lake levels, because our lakes are the reservoir that stores that water in the times of drought. And right now, the lakes and reservoirs are relatively healthy, but as these drought conditions continue, that can definitely impact the inflow to those lakes, and so we're watching that carefully.
So the stream flow may be down, but you're saying the water reservoir, Lake Lanier, Allatoona, all of our lakes here are still looking okay. Explain to me, though, how Metro Atlanta's water supply is uniquely fragile in comparison to other parts of the country. What makes us so unique with how we get our water?
Well, Metro Atlanta was not founded as a location of great water supply. We were founded kind of at the top of the hill where two railroad tracks come together. And therefore, we've had to steward our water very carefully as we've grown in population. We're approaching 6 million people that are being served by this water. And the water generally starts in North Georgia and then flows through Atlanta and to the rest of our state and out towards the oceans. And so we've got to do the best we can with the supplies that we have, and be a good steward for not only for our own water supplies, but for those downstream as well.
So what about planning for the future? I know there's this 15-county Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District that ARC kind of oversees. How do you plan for the future, droughts and floods and all of that? How do you make sure that we are conserving water?
Well, it's important to understand the dynamics of weather change year to year. Some years we can have 30 inches of rain. The next year we might have 70 inches of rain. So it's very important that we understand how much water we're going to use today and in the future, and make sure that we're adequately prepared to weather these droughts that do occur. We've had about 5 droughts in the last 25 years or so. One of the worst was 2007 to 2009, and that was a time when Lake Lanier fell about 20 feet. And there was outdoor watering restrictions across all of North Georgia for about a year and a half from the state of Georgia. And that's something that we have a tool in our tool belt to manage that water resources when we need to. But generally, we are recommending conservation and efficiency practices year round, because it does matter that we be good stewards of that water supply, not just during times of drought, but during all times of the year.
Earlier this week, one of our viewing counties here, Pike County, which is just south of where your regional commission is, they issued their own water restrictions of when you can water outside, whether you have an odd or an even mailbox number here at your house. Who are those water restrictions instated by? Like, if we see if the drought getting worse here in Metro Atlanta, who issues those water restrictions and what dictates those?
So drought restrictions are managed by the state of Georgia through a set of drought rules from Georgia EPD. And they're gonna monitor not only the drought monitor maps that you show on your screen a second ago, but they're gonna be looking at stream flows, reservoir levels, and other conditions throughout all kinds of water uses. And they're gonna take a proactive approach to see, is this the time that outdoor restrictions would have a beneficial impact on these water supplies, to make sure that they can last us longer. So they have a process in place, and they take a look at lots of data to make those calculations and those decisions. So we provide some input to them about how the water supply community is being impacted by drought conditions. And so they take all this information into account, and they can either declare a level 1, 2, or 3 drought, depending on the severity. They typically start with a moment of education, level 1, making sure people are aware. And if they need to go to more further outdoor watering restrictions, level 2, level 3 means that you're either going to a odd even address-based restriction or to a complete outdoor watering ban.
And hopefully we do not get to those levels, but we're going to, of course, be watching that with La Nina expected through the winter. If you had to kind of summarize your viewpoint as you look at planning for the future here in Metro Atlanta and our water supply, what do residents need to be most mindful of when we are heading into drought in instances like this?
Well, you want to take care to monitor your house. You want to look for leaks that might be coming from a toilet, from a bathroom that you may not use very often. That's wasted water that is being, withdrawn from a river and going through a toilet, not being used to its full beneficial use. And you want to go outside, see if your irrigation system is leaking. Find those places where you can have the most impact on how much water you consume, and find out how you can make an impact on the overall water use. And especially we want folks to know that there are year-round outdoor watering restrictions between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. that make sure that we're not wasting water to evaporation during the hottest part of the day. So that's a year-round rule for the state of Georgia, and something that's really helped us save water over the last 25 years or so since those rules, since we've been very mindful stewards of our water.
Now, since you're always planning for the future, when you look out 10, 20 years down the line, our Metro Atlanta area continues to grow, and we also have more things like data centers and everything going in. Do you feel like we have sufficient water supply, or is that something that you all would ever be more concerned about?
Yes, so we do an update to our water resources plan every 5 years, and we look at what are our communities projected to consume for their water supplies over a 20, 30, 40-year period. And we do a forecast, and we evaluate population growth, how much water each individual is using now, and what we expect them to use in the future. And we do look at things like data centers. In fact, I just got back from a data center conference today to learn more about how data centers are using water. And one of the good things I've learned is that most of the data center projects are using what's called closed loop cooling that reduces that consumptive use that they were mostly using a couple of years ago. And so we've seen some good trends with water use on the data center side. We hope that continues, and we try to make sure that we're sharing that story with our communities to know that they do have local impact on how data centers use water when they're developing in their communities. So I'm glad you asked the question.
Is there anything else I didn't ask you think would be good for people to know about right now?
Well, I encourage you to monitor our website. We do have some information on water supply statistics, on drought status, stream flows, lake levels. If you go to northgeorgiawater.org, it's a great resource. And also there's some information there on drought status. And there's also some websites that the state of Georgia manages on drought declarations that are useful resources. We have lots of tips also on our mydropcounts.org website. So encourage homeowners to look for ways they can save water at home.
All right, Danny Johnson, Managing Director of Natural Resources with the Atlanta Regional Commission. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.